Hi all, before I look at some of the games of Alexander Grischuk, the Russian #1 in the Olympiad, he did quite well, but he only lost one game to Liko, I believe, but he won quite a few and helped Russian first team go very high up in the rankings, although they didn't win the events. I think they came second, equal or something. So e4, e6, so Alexander's playing French defence. Who says, you know, people above 2700 they don't play the French? They do. I absolutely love the French defence, but I'm often playing knight f6 here, actually, forgetting about the Winawer almost, and maybe I should revisit the Winawer. So these games are all food for thought for the blitz games and for the over-the-board games. So bishop b4 against knight c3, and maybe reserve knight f6 just against the Tarrasch when white plays knight d2. So in case you didn't know, the Tarrasch is knight d2, named after that famous player Tarrasch, okay, who was a fierce rival of Nimzovich. So Winawer, named after another player. So bishop b4, so a nice pin, c5. So a3 is all standard stuff so far. Knight e7, and we have these very ultra sharp gambit lines where black is often sacrificing the g7 pawn. So queen g4. Now c takes d4 was played, and instead of queen g7, another line was played where white's king is kept in the centre here. He just plays actually bishop d3. I mean, there's other moves in the position, I guess. There's lots of moves. So queen a5, now rook b1, and one of the points of this pawn set, I think, is to try and get in a tempo later, as well as pressure on b7, obviously. But if this rook can swing for the attack later, this will be quite dangerous. So I think black takes some guts to play this. He plays check anyway, winning the pawn materialistically. But later he's going to use that c-file after the fireworks which he has to endure against his own king. So b6, now queen h5, eyeing that sensitive f7 square. So after all that, we're reduced to primary school chess again, where f7 is actually the key theme of the game, even at this level. But black plays h6, and it's token in a respect that it's not actually guarding against knight g5 because of that pin against the h8 rook. So knight g5 is played anyway. But h6 rather serves other points that potentially it can be used for g5 at the right moment. So g6 here to defend f7. Okay, now queen h4 was played, maintaining the pin against the rook, and actually threatening now knight takes f7 with the idea of queen f6 check, which ordinarily I think to a lot of players would seem, you know, this looks kind of dangerous, but Grischuk, he's inviting it with queen c7, so it happens. Knight takes f7, queen f6 check, and now how can white get more resources into the attack? Well, as previously mentioned, this rook can step from the queen side over like this, or to this square. So rook b3, and now we see one of the points of h6 to be able to play g5 here. So g5 here, right, so it's means, well, knight c6, and he could actually put more pressure on e5. He's not dropping the g6 pawn immediately, so this g5 is shielding his king. If white wants to rip open the g file, it's going to be at the cost of another piece, which white is prepared to invest in this position. He plays bishop takes g5, so rips open the g file. So the black king's getting a bit naked here. King f8, and now check again, and now here king e8 offering the rook. Now if king g8, then this is going to start to justify this rook on b3. Bishop h7 is like mating here, or getting close to mating, but actually that might not be. Let's engine check this position actually, just out of interest. Okay, bishop h7 is mating, so if rook takes, we have check, knight g6. Now here queen takes g6, and if king h8, there's queen e8. Okay, so if king f8, check, check, and then rook g8. So this is to be avoided. Let's turn engine off. So black actually has to give up that rook, otherwise he's going to be mated. So check, he gives up the rook. King d7. So let's take stock here of the position. Black's still potentially got c-file pressure. He's got two pieces for a rook at the moment. So rook each. Let's factor out the bishop. There's two pieces for this rook. Okay, but white's got these pass pawns. So check now, which might not help white's position. Maybe it should have been left on d3, because the problem with losing this bishop is d3 from black becomes stronger later, and black, you know, seems to be doing a useful developing move. So I'm not really sure this check was that helpful overall. Queen f6. Okay. a6, encouraging to take off that knight. So black's development is still a bit backward here, but the rook just needs to get to c8 really, and the bishop to a6 to try and optimize these pieces. So a5 with the idea of getting bishop to a6, and now actually the d pawn's under fire, so queen c5 logically protecting it, but also black never really has time now to play things like knight c6, so he's not really interested in that. He needs to get these pieces working as top priority. So king d2, now bishop a6. So his rook coming to c8 is going to put c2 under fire. So rook c8 here, and now he takes time to defend b6 as well, taking a breather before carrying on pressing against white position now. So a4, chasing the rook. And then move d3. When I engine check this before bishop f1 is also an interesting idea. So it introduces ideas like queen c4 to play queen e2 check. And if white's not careful, if he carries on casually doing this, then takes, and then queen c4 here as well because of the queen f1 tactic. So in this position actually d3 was played, which is quite effective as well. Although dropping the a pawn, queen c3, and white's under fierce pressure here and goes very quickly wrong, it seems. So takes, and he ends up losing his queen now to a neat tactic. Bishop e2 check. So if queen takes e2, then there's queen c1 mate. So the king has to take, and now white loses the queen after queen takes e5 check. Because if he defends, then rook takes c2 as check. So he's losing his queen next, and that's where he resigned. So bishop e2, it's all over. So that was a very sharp game with the French defence. So Winawer fans might like this game. So it shows that you can take an onslaught on the Kingside and even sacrifice your rook. And you know, seemingly token moves h6 might actually be useful later. You're just trying to grab a bit of material from white before investing a rook, as this game shows anyway. So rook b3 faced with these three guys going for your king, but g5 now seems a bit cheeky. Oh, just another pawn move. But the idea is just to slow down a bit white's attack and force a bit more investment. So now you can just sacrifice the rook, crawl over here a bit, try and use the c-file and get your counter attack going, which is what happened in this game. So kind of smooth after that, but I thought a very interesting sharp game against the 2-6-1-5 opponent. So it seems quite impressive the way this game was finished off with this neat bishop e2 tactic. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave me comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.